Hey guys, Scott with Football Scoop back on the Inside Scoop. Today I'm really excited to have Matt Dudek join us. Matt's the Director of Player Personnel and Recruiting at University of Arizona. Has really done a great job the past couple of years. And he's an enjoyable follow on Twitter and in real life. Matty D, good to have you on, my friend.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing well. So I saw the video this morning of the Wildcat Olympics. That looked pretty cool. Looked like the boys had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's one of the more fun things we do. The guys really enjoy. Coach Rodriguez has been doing it forever. Back at West Virginia, and the commissioner Billy Kurlavich does a fantastic job of putting that on, and the different events. And I seen what Doug said. The most fun and outlandish. That's exactly what it is.
So you put a GoPro on a guy and had him do a belly flop from the high dive. How'd that
Yes.
work out?
And actually, our video guys, digital gurus, all the videos you guys see, they do that. It was their idea to do that. That was Scooby Wright that you've seen jump in the pool like that. We were worried that it might hurt somebody, but luckily everything was good.
Literally, he dives in. I go, that had to have left a mark.
The one kid, the one where you got the still picture of him laying out on the website. That's Alex. He's one of our freshman early enrollees. His face hit first. He had two gigantic black eyes. So he was all out for it.
That's sick. So, last time I was out there, I visited with you guys. One of the things that I really liked that Coach Rod was doing, he incorporates family into a lot of things you guys do at practice. There's a lot of coaches' family there. The kids are there. Wives are there. You guys, have dinner with the players after the fact. I had another coach on yesterday. I had Mitch Stewart, who's the new head coach at Murray State, and he talked a lot about family and his social media presence. He tweets pictures of his wife and his kids and just doing normal everyday things. And he said a lot of his rationale behind doing that is he wants to, the players that come to Murray State, he wants to raise them to be great people, not just great football players, but great people. And I see a lot of the same thing in you guys. Talk to me about the family atmosphere you guys try to encourage at Arizona.
I think it's first and foremost, that's something that Coach always talks about. When you walk in, the very first thing you see when you walk in our working floor is a picture with all of us and all of our families. That's not for recruiting. They're a bunch of part of it, and Coach Rodriguez wants all the families to be as much as part of that. It's for just us. You work a lot of time. A lot of coaches spend a lot of time away from home, and making sure the families are welcome. My daughter comes in every Monday after school, and she just runs around. So run into Coach Rod's office, grab some candy, and that's just the nature of what Coach Rodriguez wants and always has wanted. And it's nice when we come, when recruits come through and families come through and players that are on the team, those families are welcome to come to practice. And it's just, you get that vibe of, this is where I want to be. This is a lot of kids aren't from Tucson. So we want to make it as homey as possible for those guys.
Matt, while you're talking, I'm seeing this thing up above your left shoulder, this big blue thing. What is that?
That is a nice art piece. You wouldn't understand fine art, Scott. I understand that. That is a great art piece. One of my interns, Josh Davis, who's actually a GA for the AFCA now, he made for me. It says, "On to the next one." So it's a little bit of street cred, a little bit maybe I tweet that every now and again when something good happens. So he made that for me. It's fantastic. I'll have him make you one, Scott. What do you want? You want the scoop? Maybe give you some street cred?
That's good stuff. Listen, so you talk about on to the next one. Another little hashtag you guys talk about, or something y'all use a lot in Arizona football, is OKG, our kind of guy. Yep. I'm now seeing other programs use that. Run that by me again. What does OKG mean to you guys?
Our kind of guy is really a guy, that's a good football player, but he's also a good guy. We're not worried about how many offers a kid has. We're not worried about how many stars he has, what his Nike Spark score was, all that stuff. Can he play? Is he a good guy? Does he want to work? And probably the biggest thing of all is does he love the game of football? Because it's a tough sport. As Coach Rodriguez always says, it's a tough sport. You don't just wake up on a Thursday morning in the summer and say, hey, you know what, let's go play some tackle football. That doesn't happen. You can go play basketball, you can go play baseball, but you got to have that love of the game that you needed in your life, that you're willing to go and do that. And that's what an OKG is. A tough, loves the game of football, smart, just good person.
Let me talk about a couple of, or ask your thoughts on a couple of current events. There's been a lot of chatter in the last few days about multi-sport athletes, encouraging high school athletes not just to play football, but to be, all-around ballers. What's your philosophy on that?
I would say multi-sport is the best thing that you can ask. It's something something Coach Rodriguez asked in our recruiting meetings. Does he play any other sports? I can use an example. When I was at Pitt, there was a guy that we recruited early. As a sophomore, he played 3 sports. Was loose and very athletic. He narrowed it down to 2 sports his junior year, got a little tighter, a little less loose. His senior year, he focused just on football, and that fluidity, he kind of lost some of that. He kind of lost that fluidity of different motions. Basketball motions are different than football, and baseball is different than football. So he lost a little bit of that, and we talked about that in those staff rooms back then. But multi-sport athletes, it keeps the competition all year round. So you want to win, you always are fighting for something, and then you're constantly working out, and then different movements is always a really good thing.
Matt, past, say, week, I've probably had 5 different programs, I'm talking about national programs, reach out to me and say, hey, are you aware of any females out there that are looking to move? We're willing to bring them in if they're the right fit for our program, but we need a great number 2 person in recruiting.
Yeah.
I know you guys have Anna Verdon, who I think does a wonderful job for you
Yes.
guys, like an associate recruiting director. And I know you guys also have an intern program where you bring in males and females, and you guys actually help get them placed. And you guys are one of the few that actually take that second step and help get them placed in other jobs, like you just mentioned Josh a minute ago. Do you see more of a role of that nationwide in females moving up into football positions, not necessarily coaching, obviously, but operations, recruiting, anything?
Yeah, I think it's fair game. I don't think that if you can do the job, it doesn't matter if you're male or female.
Sure.
There's a great person at Western Michigan, Jessica Larmany. Fantastic. I worked with her at Rutgers. We worked recruiting together there, and she was awesome. And now she's the DFO at Western Michigan with PJ Fleck, and she does a fantastic job. I think it's open. I mean, our intern program, like you said here, we have 28 interns. I think 16 of them are female and 12 are male, and they do a fantastic job. They're all business students. They're all marketing students. They're all sports management students, and 3.0s, and helping them get placed. I had another one of our interns just get placed at Iowa State with Coach Rhodes. Mariah Martin, she was one of our head interns here at Arizona. So I don't think it matters. If you can do the job and work, it doesn't matter if you're male or female. I mean, just can you work?
Yeah, no question. All right, so let me bring you back 2 weeks or so ago. I know Matt, do this for me. Give me your career path. You finished college. I don't know if you worked during college, but then how did you get to Arizona?
Well, I was the assistant to CEO and general manager of a Fortune 500 company when I was 22 years old, crane company, Maxim Crane Works. So I worked there a little bit in college, interned a little bit, and then I went there instead of going and getting a school psychology degree, master's at Duquesne. So I did that for about a year, kind of fell out of love with it. Called Coach Wanstead and Chad Bogard, the video coordinator at Pitt at the time, told them, hey, I want to donate the man lifts to film practice. And they asked me if I wanted to work for them. And I started off as a video student assistant, filming practice, making $2,500 a semester, which my wife, thank you for still being with me.
Yeah.
And then I went from that. I moved into the academic coordinator role at Pitt for the football team, and then the assistant director of operations opened at Pitt, which was the recruiting position at the time. I took that. I moved on from Pitt to Rutgers, where I became the director of branding, which is another recruiting position. And then Coach Rodriguez asked me to come out here to be his on-campus recruiter and director of player personnel. I guess I was at Pitt for 5 seasons, Rutgers for 5 or 6 months, and then it's going into my 4th season here at Arizona.
So perfect segue. There was the article, Rutgers was planning to hire or was considering hiring a business guy who also had been a donor to the program in the past, but more in a, let's take an analytical approach to recruiting type role. And Sports Illustrated ran this article like, ooh, this is how programs should be structured. You should have a guy who's not necessarily a football coach running recruiting.
Sure.
And I kind of said very publicly, well, there's a lot of programs that do that. I mean, you immediately came to mind, a guy like Austin Thomas, at LSU, Mark Pantoni at Ohio State. I mean, I could probably list 20 guys like this who aren't football coaches.
Sure.
They are recruiting personnel executives, and, big future for these guys in business, in a collegiate game, or even in the NFL. a lot of programs are structured like that, right? And more are moving that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that more and more are moving into it's you're getting away from the position coach being the recruiting coordinator. I think that many of the Power Five conferences have someone like myself, someone like Billy Kurlavage or Mike Parrish or Andrew Warsaw, kind of having that operations. They're not a coach, don't want to be a coach, have never been a coach. So a lot of schools are structured closer to having specific people to do recruiting. Like I have no aspiration of being a coach ever. I want to be the best recruiting coordinator I could be. So I think that's where many are structured that way. I think where the difference with Rutgers was it was a guy kind of coming from that. I don't know very much about it, but just coming from the business world at such a powerful position or whatever he was into that role, as opposed to a young guy kind of climbing the ranks.
Yeah. What's your advice for young people who want to get into this side of the profession, the recruiting, the personnel, the talent evaluation role?
Work, take anything that you can get and work. I did the video student assistant. My job was to film practice and to film games, and I sat around, helped on recruiting events, sit around the offensive and defensive meetings to make photocopies for whatever they needed. I just worked. I think that's where the misnomer is someone saying, "Oh, I want to be a recruiting coordinator." Well, it takes steps to get there. So maybe come as an intern, maybe come volunteer your time. Hey, maybe take that third video job and kind of make it your own, get your job done with them and kind of move on from that, or equipment or training room or whatever. But really, it's just about working. Obviously, networking is great, and meeting and doing a good job for the coaches that have you. So when something opens, that's the next step up. They recommend you. But work is very simple. That'll never change.
Hey, Matt, last question for you. When you're reaching out to prospects, these are 17-year-old boys or whatever, other than reaching out direct to them via social media, what are they engaging with? Is it Twitter? Is it Instagram? Is it videos? What is it?
I think really Instagram is taken over from a social media standpoint, from a stance of what kids are on and what they're using. Instagram and Snapchat, which we're not able to use right now, which is fine. I don't really have an interest in using Snapchat. But with Instagram, it's hard to communicate because you have to send a picture to go back and forth to be able to communicate privately on Instagram. So from a recruiting standpoint, Twitter is by far king to communicate. And then Instagram really is where a lot of the kids are. So being creative on Instagram is super important right now.
Where do you guys find the expertise to figure out Instagram? I mean, are you using these interns to give you ideas, or where are you figuring that out?
Yeah, it's I would say it's a big group of the interns. I'd like to think I'm young, but I'm really not in any way, shape, or form. So I try to trial and error, so to speak, but talking to the interns and finding out, hey, what's going on? I probably would have never heard of Snapchat if it wasn't for the interns, So it's one of those things. They're up on it and they're closer to the same age. So having them is such a fantastic resource because they know what the next up and coming thing is.
Hey, Matt, I appreciate you taking time to join us here on Football Scoop. On Twitter, he's AZ_MattyD. He's a fantastic follow. Keeps you young, keeps it light, keeps a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Sky. Appreciate it, buddy.
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Take care.